Predictive surveillance, preemptive punishment, social credit. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Social Credit and Surveillance series. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful and alarming aspects of the social credit system, predictive surveillance. It's one thing to be monitored in real time, but it's a whole other thing to be punished based on what you might do in the future. In a world where data is the currency of the digital age, predictive surveillance uses sophisticated algorithms to forecast behavior. Imagine a society where you are punished not for what you have done, but for what an algorithm predicts you might do. In a predictive surveillance system, you don't have to break the rules to be penalized. You just have to seem likely to break them. The future of surveillance isn't about watching you after you've done something wrong. It's about watching you now to determine whether you might do something wrong later. Predictive policing, predictive credit scoring, and even predictive punishment. These are all becoming integral parts of the social control grid. In this episode, we'll explore the mechanics of predictive surveillance, how it works, and the terrifying implications it has for personal freedom and autonomy. The idea that your behavior, your potential actions, can be monitored, tracked, and punished before they even happen is not science fiction. It's already happening. The shift from punishment to preemptive control. We are all familiar with the basic principle of punishment in society. If you break the rules, you face the consequences. If you steal, you're arrested. If you break the law, you're punished. This system relies on the idea that punishment is reactive. It happens after the violation. However, predictive surveillance introduces a new paradigm where punishment is proactive, where the system punishes you before you break any rules. Predictive surveillance doesn't just track your past behavior, it analyzes your future. Using data and algorithms, the system is able to determine whether you're likely to engage in certain behaviors, whether those behaviors are criminal, anti-government, or simply non-compliant with social norms. And based on that analysis, you can be penalized. Your potential actions, your likelihood of committing a crime, engaging in dissent, or even simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time, are used to determine your punishment. Let's break it down. In a predictive surveillance system, you're no longer judged based on what you do. You're judged based on who you are, what your data profile suggests about you, and how the system views you. If you're flagged as a potential risk, you can be penalized before you've even committed an offense. And the consequences of this preemptive punishment can have a devastating impact on your life. Predictive policing. When the algorithm decides you're guilty before you act. One of the most notorious applications of predictive surveillance is predictive policing. This is where algorithms are used to predict where crimes will occur and who might commit them. Predictive policing uses historical data, such as crime patterns, location data, and demographics, to make predictions about future criminal activity. But here's the problem. These algorithms don't just predict where crime might happen. They predict who might commit it. They use big data to create profiles of people who are more likely to engage in criminal behavior based on things like their location, their associates, and even their economic status. Imagine being profiled by a predictive algorithm that decides you might commit a crime based on where you live or who you know. In predictive policing, the assumption is that your behavior is predictable, and the system punishes you based on the likelihood of you breaking the law. In this world, it's no longer about actual guilt. It's about potential guilt. What does this look like in practice? In cities where predictive policing is implemented, certain neighborhoods, demographics, and individuals are watched more closely. Law enforcement uses predictive tools to target people based on data points that are statistically associated with criminal activity, rather than on actual evidence of wrongdoing. If the algorithm suggests that you might commit a crime, you could find yourself surveilled more heavily, stopped more frequently by the police, or even arrested before you've done anything wrong. Predictive surveillance, the algorithm as judge and jury. The power of predictive surveillance lies in the algorithm's ability to anticipate future actions. But there's a catch. These algorithms aren't perfect. They are created by people, and like all human-made systems, they are flawed. Predictive algorithms are often based on historical data, which can be inherently biased. For example, if the system is trained on historical crime data, it might disproportionately target marginalized communities because those communities have been over-policed in the past. This is the danger of predictive surveillance. It can amplify existing biases and perpetuate discrimination. Instead of preventing crime, it may simply reproduce the inequalities of the past, punishing people based on predictive patterns that have little to do with their actual behavior. If you're profiled as a risk, you're treated as if you've already committed the offense, even if you haven't. Let's think about this. If predictive algorithms are used to assess criminal behavior, what else can they assess? What happens when predictive surveillance isn't just used to identify criminals, but also to determine who deserves a job, who qualifies for a loan, or even who's allowed to access public services? If you're flagged by the system as a potential risk, whether based on your past behavior or the company you keep, the consequences are profound. Your future can be altered by an algorithm that decides you're more likely to make a certain decision, whether or not you ever act on it. Preemptive punishment, the criminalization of probability. The most chilling aspect of predictive surveillance is its ability to punish based on probability, rather than actual behavior. In this system, you don't have to commit a crime to be punished for it. All that's needed is the potential for you to break the rules. Whether you're punished or rewarded depends on the likelihood that you will follow the system's prescribed path. This is where the system shifts from punishment to control. It's no longer about reacting to bad behavior, it's about controlling future behavior. Predictive policing is just one example of how this system works. But what happens when this concept extends to other areas of life? If you're flagged by the system, your freedom is at risk, not because you've done something wrong, but because the system anticipates that you will. Consider the chilling concept of preemptive punishment. In a world where your behavior is predicted and controlled, the question is no longer about whether you're guilty, it's about whether the system trusts you. Trust in this case is not about your character or intentions. It's about how predictable you are in complying with the system's rules. If you don't conform, the system acts before you even have the chance to deviate. This model doesn't just apply to criminal activity, it can extend to every aspect of your life, from job opportunities to social interactions. If you're flagged as a risk, your opportunities may be restricted before you even have the chance to prove yourself. A world of predictive surveillance. Who's watching you? As predictive surveillance technologies grow more sophisticated, it's important to ask, who's watching? The answer is more complicated than just the government. In a world where data is everything, corporations, governments, and even tech giants are all collecting and analyzing data on every aspect of your life. These entities don't just monitor your purchases, they monitor who you talk to, what you say, and even how you feel. We're already seeing the rise of emotion tracking systems and predictive algorithms that assess our behavior, categorize it, and predict our future actions. The fact that these systems are increasingly integrated into daily life means that the watchers are not just government agencies, they're corporations too. This opens up a whole new world of corporate surveillance, where companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook control much of the data that shapes our lives. The more data these companies collect, the more they are able to predict and control our decisions, our purchases, and even our beliefs. And as these data points are linked across different systems, we enter a world where our lives are no longer our own. They are controlled, analyzed, and ultimately shaped by the entities who can access and manipulate our data. Conclusion: the future of predictive surveillance. Predictive surveillance represents a terrifying leap forward in the systematic control of human behavior. It's not just about monitoring your actions, it's about predicting your future behavior and taking action before it even happens. This paradigm shifts from a world of punishment to a world of control, where the state, or even corporations, dictate your future opportunities based on your predicted behavior. As predictive surveillance grows more pervasive, we must ask ourselves, what happens when we stop being judged by our actions and start being judged by what an algorithm predicts we will do? How far will predictive control extend? And more importantly, can we ever truly escape this digital surveillance? Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing. And no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones. The replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans. The merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SOS School of Soul Vault to understand the future before it's implemented on you.